Today there are interesting updates from the Kupiansk direction. Here, as Russian losses have officially hit an unprecedented 1 million count, the breaking point finally came and the soldiers began turning their rifles on their own commanders rather than face certain death in futile assaults. In a growing wave of mutiny and desertion, Russian soldiers started killing their officers, seizing vehicles and fleeing deep into Russian territory and away from the front line. In one of the most brutal recent examples of growing disorder within Russian ranks, several Russian soldiers near the settlement of Nyzhnia Duvanka in the Luhansk region turned on their own. By shooting and killing the military police platoon commander and two of his barrier troop subordinates and running away, they sparked a frantic search operation by Russian authorities. The deserters left their comrades to lie dead on the road while fleeing to save their lives from both Ukrainian and Russian fire. This violent mutiny did not emerge in a vacuum. It is directly tied to the hopeless bloodbath unfolding near the Kupiansk front, specifically at the Pyshan funnel. For months, Russian forces have tried and failed to break through Ukrainian defenses here. The Ukrainians have created a deadly trap by controlling the flanks, exposing any Russian assault to relentless drone and artillery fire from both sides. Yet commanders continue to send wave after wave of infantry into the funnel, hoping to drive a wedge through Ukrainian lines. Every new wave knows exactly how it will end, as almost no one from previous groups returns alive. The systematic nature of these assaults has been likened to mass execution, with soldiers pushed forward not for tactical gain, but to serve as human battering rams. To make matters worse, Russian troops are being sent into combat in improvised MadMax-style vehicles, like the Gaz-69, which entered production in 1952, the year of Stalin's death, and regular cars fitted with rudimentary armor, or even none. Such improvised motorcycle squads and barely armored vehicles now lead the charge, only to be annihilated by Ukrainian FPV drones well before reaching the contact line. These desperate measures highlight not only material shortages, but a total disregard for the lives of Russian troops. Ukrainian surveillance drones ensure that almost no movement goes undetected, meaning most assaults are decimated long before they engage the defenders. Despite the carnage, desertions in the Russian army remain surprisingly rare. The reason lies in the sheer brutality of the punishments for refusing to fight. Soldiers who resist are subjected to medieval-style torture. Some are thrown into pits without food before being forced to fight each other to the death to earn the right to live another day. In one documented case, soldiers were tied behind vehicles and dragged through the dirt, while other deserters were forced to bury each other alive as punishment and to serve as an example. In the Lyman area, a surrendering Russian soldier was spotted by Russian drone operators and targeted by his own artillery. This highlights the impossible choice facing many: surrender and be killed, or desert and be hunted. For some, turning against their officers seems to be the only escape. This toxic atmosphere has bred a surge in violent retaliation. Russian soldiers, driven to the brink by the realization that dying in a pointless assault is their fate if they continue, are increasingly likely to choose to kill their commanders instead, as it is safer than being spotted attempting to surrender to the Ukrainians. Meanwhile, commanders themselves contribute to the decay by labeling active soldiers as deserters to avoid paying their wages, denying them medical care, and forcing under-equipped men into combat. A recent appeal by the families of men from the Russian 54th Motorized Rifle Regiment revealed horrifying conditions. Soldiers were beaten and handcuffed, robbed of personal belongings, and left to die without evacuation. Wounded men are forced to crawl back to safety, and the dead are simply abandoned, confirmed by footage showing bodies of dead Russian soldiers that haven't been moved for months since the snow covered the fields. The downward spiral is accelerating. Russian military losses have just surpassed 1 million casualties, including killed, wounded, and captured. Equipment losses are equally staggering, with 10,000 destroyed and damaged tanks and over 20,000 armored vehicles of various types. Lacking armor, modern vehicles, or meaningful support, commanders now rely on sheer manpower and suicidal frontal attacks to advance the line ever so slowly. But the more men are lost, the worse morale gets, and the more inclined troops are coming to view their superiors as the enemy, instead of the Ukrainians they are forced to fight. Overall, such events create a vicious cycle. The collapse of discipline and the dehumanizing tactics employed by Russian commanders will inevitably lead to more incidents where soldiers turn their weapons on their leaders. To prevent this, the officers are only doubling down on cruelty, inventing new, more barbaric punishments. This internal rot may not only undermine Russia's ability to continue the war, but it could also ultimately sabotage its war effort from within. Lastly, our biggest 50% sale ends in just 3 days. This is your last chance to get full access to our exclusive all-front overviews and strategic geopolitics videos starting as low as $3.99. If you wanted to support our efforts but haven't had the chance, now is the perfect time to jump in and make a real difference. So check out the link in the description to join our cause and become an exclusive member of our community. I truly appreciate everyone who stepped up to join us. Your support means the world to us.